Amendment Bill in the name of Deputy Frank O'Rourke. Deputy O'Rourke to move. And will you make your opening statement, your explanatory statement, Deputy O'Rourke?
Thank you, Concordia, and I want to acknowledge the work that's done to me in this bill by my colleague Deputy Dáil O'Brien, the staff in the Research Office and my own staff in my own office. I suppose the whole focus on this bill, Concordia, is to try and assist people who have got termination notices or eviction notices to help them find alternative property in the private rental market until they're allocated a social house and avoid them going homeless or going into emergency accommodation. Currently, this bill proposes that if someone, a family which gets an eviction notice, which is a valid eviction notice and is validated by the local authority, either in Kildare or any other local authority, that then will kick in, them being able to access the homeless HAP, which of course is 2 months' rent and a month's deposit. There is no cost to the state with this proposal and this amendment of this bill, and obviously there is a saving to the state, because if a family does eventually go homeless because they can't find alternative accommodation, it means that when they go into hotel accommodation, it can cost the state somewhere in the region of between 60 and 70,000 euros per annum. Currently, the way the homeless HAP and Place Finder operates is that when a family is given their eviction notice or termination notice, and this is validated by the local authority, they have to go and seek alternative accommodation privately, as I say. And then when they go out into the marketplace, they're competing with others who can access this money obviously more quickly if they're not depending on the state to support them with rental supports. And at the moment, HAP payment through traditional methods with a traditional application is taken somewhere between 7 to 9 weeks. And when you are faced with a landlord, and remember 80% of the landlords in this country is accidental landlords, the banks will not wait 7 to 9 weeks for that payment to come through. So these people that's facing homelessness with valid eviction notices and termination notices are being put under pressure and are at a severe disadvantage. What the time frame currently where the homeless HAP payment kicks in is in the last month, Concordia, of their termination. So they can only access that funding with 4 weeks left to go before their eviction date, which gives them very little time to be competitive in the market in the current climate, to find a property which we know is very scarce. And what this bill is proposing very clearly is that when their termination notice or eviction notice is being validated by the local authority, which is the independent body to do so, and normally an eviction notice carries a month for every year the family's been in the home, so traditionally the eviction notice could be 3 to 5 months approximately, that would automatically click in and allow them to access the homeless HAP and Place Finder payment from that time, which gives them a longer period of time to go and access private rental accommodation and puts them at a very fair advantage in the rental market when they're competing with others. And this is what this bill is proposing to do. And I think it's hugely important that we hope the government and the ministers, which I've spoken about this, would accept this bill. It may not be perfect and it can take tweaks as we go through the process of doing so, but what it's doing is giving a family a longer period of time to avail of private rental accommodation in the current market and be able to access the Place Finder and homeless HAP payment from the date their eviction notice is deemed valid. And this is what we need to focus on to assist them in that regard, because currently, with the month that they only get that payment from, they're not able to find accommodation, particularly in Kildare, and I know from talking to my colleagues in Dublin, Wicklow and Meath, it's a problem. And these families then are being put into shelters or being put into hotels, which is an enormous cost to the state. So I propose this bill, Concordia, hope that it gets cross-party support when it comes through the House, because this is about assisting the most vulnerable and helping the families most in need to be able to access private rental accommodation, access a home so that they don't go homeless, and give them every possible opportunity to provide for their family while waiting on that allocation of a social house to come from the local authority. Thank you, Concordia.
Thank you, Deputy O'Rourke. Is the bill being opposed? The bill is not being opposed. The motion for leave to introduce is agreed. Deputy O'Rourke, would you like to move that the second stage be taken in private members' time? Is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you.